Theodore Roosevelt said, "A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor."
That's
and
right.
I think that is unbelievable.
Welcome to Island Influencers, where we share stories of successful business owners, experienced professionals, entrepreneurs and community leaders based or with influence in the Isle of Man. This podcast is brought to you by Thornton Chartered Financial Planners, because great financial planning has the power to change your life. Now here's your host, Chartered Financial Planner Sharon Sutton.
Welcome to this week's episode of Island Influencers. My guests today are Northern Irishmen Mark Noble and Chris Suitor, who between them, after what started out as a bit of a joke about their combined names and occupations, formed the Noble Suitor, now based at Tynwald Mills in the Isle of Man. I hope you enjoy listening to their story, how Mark, a university-educated biology teacher, having followed his wife to the Isle of Man, found his way into tailoring bespoke suits with Chris Suitor of the Belfast-based, award-winning Suitor Brothers. Let's meet Chris and Mark. So, welcome to you both, and thanks so much for joining the Island Influencers podcast. So, I think the thing that struck me from having met the two of you before and then walking through your door and finding out was that the Noble Suitor actually wasn't just a brand name; it actually is you.
Yeah,
do you want to introduce yourselves, each one of you, and tell me all about yourselves?
Well, Mark, you need to go first because your name comes first in the business name. So go ahead, Mark first.
I'm Mark Noble, and Chris is Chris Suitor, hence the Noble Suitor. But nobody can believe that it's actually both their surnames.
Isn't it a great name, Sharon? Like, it really is. I think it's a magic name.
I don't know if I dreamt this, but Chris, was your grandmother's surname Taylor?
Yes, my grandmother was Rachel Taylor, and she married Samuel Suitor. So Taylor Suitor.
Taylor Suitor.
Yeah, so we're having this conversation on Zoom because Chris is in Belfast and Mark's in St John's, and I'm in Glenvine. And I thought the easiest way to do this was on Zoom. We've all got really good internet where we are, so that's
Sharon, just to set the record straight, as much as I look like I'm wearing lots of clothes, I have nothing on down below. This is a typical Zoom meeting.
Typical Chris too.
Okay, thanks. Well, it's painted a very vivid picture. Thank you for sharing.
I'm only joking. I really did. I've wanted to do a Zoom call all lockdown where I'm wearing like a suit jacket and tap top and literally nothing but a pair of knickers underneath. But
well, in your role, surely you have the opportunity and the wardrobe to have done such a thing. If anybody has the wardrobe, surely it's you guys. So you're both giveaway, but you're not from the Isle of Man, are you? Really?
Well, I've been here that long now. I technically am a Manx resident. I've got a Manx passport.
Yeah, you don't sound it, Sunshine. So
I know.
Whereas, unfortunately, unfortunately, I don't know whether you think I love Man, so probably unfortunately, I'm just a blow-in, Sharon. So, Mark and I met through my business in Belfast. Mark was a client of mine,
right.
And I would like to say, I think we can speak freely here, Mark. I did such a good job with Mark, making him a beautiful tuxedo, that he seen a gap in the market on the Isle of Man and approached me and says, "Chris, do you know what? There's a business opportunity over here where I live to do."
It actually started off technically as a joke, because it kind of joked going, "Chris, we should do something on the island."
That's the truth. And I was like, again, Sharon, like I said at the start, I'm a yes man. I was like, yes, let's do it. Yes, come on, let's go for it. And here we are, sort of maybe 3 years down the line, Marcus. It took about a good year or so.
Yeah, well, we started talking about it. My tux was in the December, and it was sort of the January, February we started joking about doing something. And it'll be 3 years, 3 and a bit years.
3 and a bit years, and here we are. And at the start, Sharon, we'd thought of maybe just running like a travelling tailor service where, I train Mark up to be able to go around just to people's houses and measure them up and do the bits and pieces. But actually, then the more as time went on, we realised that here there could be an actual opportunity for a retail shop as well. And we started looking at premises, and as we spoke before, we were looking at all the major streets in Douglas and Strand Street, Athol Street, all those sorts of things. But really, financially and even experientially, Tynwald Mills kind of jumped out at us, and we were. It was actually Bob contacted us. Yeah, we were approached by through a mutual agent of mine that works with me back here in Belfast, who also sells to the Isle of Man. He made inquiries with Bob in Tynwald, and we got a phone call and said, "Will you come out and have a chat with us? We'd really like your business out here if you're thinking of starting." And Mark and I went and done the biz, and that was that. We all of a sudden went from zero to having a flipping full-blown retail shop. And Mark left his job. Like Mark was a full-time police officer on the Isle of Man and left his job to go and pursue this as a career. So
right.
So it's a big step.
It worked. It actually worked out well for me in regards to the police job as well, because my wife Rachel has MS, so she had been quite ill for a while, and I was struggling to do all the shift work along with trying to look after her, because it's just the both of us. So I literally, before I agreed to do the shop, I went to the police and said, look, this is my problem, what can I do? And they said, why don't you take a career break? And they were decent enough to give me a career break. And then this opportunity gives me the flexibility to potentially, if Rachel rings me and is very unwell, I can close the doors and go and look after her if I have to.
Sure. But I guess being out there where you are too, and that flexibility of running your own business, you can be pretty responsive if somebody needs a tailoring job.
I could tell you all sorts of stories, from closing the shop to drive to the airport to take a measurement of a head and stuff like that.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh goodness. So I mean, we're very fortunate over here, as you know, Chris. You know, we've lifted lockdown now, I think 42 days with no new cases in the Isle of Man.
Yes.
And you know, we hope that there's, for everybody in the rest of the world, there's a lockdown lifting elsewhere.
Well, at the minute, from what I see, and again, I kind of stand on the other side of the fence, Sharon. If you see what's happening in England at the minute, I think I fingers crossed, hope not, but I think we're due for this supposed second wave, which is a problem. I think lockdown was lifted too early in places, certainly, and I'm not sure that everybody followed the inverted comma strict criteria that we were given. Certainly, Northern Ireland, we've managed it very, very well. The number of deaths were quite low per capita, and we're starting to lift, but our executives being very, very cautious with it. And I think that's the right approach, even though we businesses have been open for 2.5 weeks now. I can certainly say from footfall, Sharon, from the number of people in the town itself, the community still being very cautious. And as much as a business person, we're struggling for money at the minute, where every sale counts and we're making that work. In my opinion, the health of the community is much more important than people coming into my shop and buying a suit. So I completely understand with them, and almost side with them. So I just Isle of Man's very, very lucky, because you were able to ring fence everything very, very quickly, shut down the borders, all of a sudden control it on your island. But we've got to remember, it is an island, and that's the ace up your sleeve that we don't have over here. So let's just hope that this whole second wave nonsense doesn't come, or if it does come, that it's manageable, and that we get through it quicker than the last time, because another larger lockdown will be even more massively detrimental to the economy and to businesses than the first one. So
I think it'll be catastrophic to businesses if we have to lock down totally.
100%, Mark. 100%. Again, Mark, we can speak freely there. We had a great wee business run on the Isle of Man there, and we're going well. But obviously, any business, in any case, in anywhere, is only 3 months from closing the doors. You shut down for 3 months with zero income or zero cash flow. It doesn't matter how good your business is going to go bang. We've been able to hold tight, and Mark has worked things very well over there to keep the place solvent. But if we were to shut down for another load of months, I think Mark and I can both,
it would kill us,
we'd be gone. Noble Suitor would cease to exist. And even back home here, Sharon, we got lots of government funding. Well, not lots, but we got some government funding, which has helped our business out. I know in the Isle of Man, there was practically nothing. I know there was a wee bit of like a wage subsidy, but it was quite small. And
you were one of the recipients of the micro business scheme, weren't you? The Department of Enterprise.
Yeah, we did that. We've done that. We've been doing that for 18 months ago now, more. Yeah. 20 months ago, we started that. We started that in the run-up to opening the shop, because we thought the financial grant that you get back after you spend money on that would mean we could spend more kitting the shop out to get it how we wanted, etc. Because we knew then we were going to have 50% of that coming back again. Yeah,
right. And it's a lovely shop too, by the way. Just for anybody else.
It is, Sharon. It's small. It is small, but it does the job. Coffee. It is. It's really. I think it's really, really good. And I think the Isle of Man public really appreciate too, because our business is all about being personable. It's all about that interpersonal relationships. And one thing that I have to give Mark a massive pat on the back on, he is exceptionally good at cultivating relationships, and that is what's key in our business. You're not trying to sell the person first, because remember I was going to say the guy, but we do ladies and men's, as you know.
Yes.
You're not trying to sell the person one suit, you're trying to sell them the next suit. And I think that is a core value that certainly has been drilled into me from my father, that's been passed down, and that actually came from his mother. You know, you're not trying to sell the first suit, you're trying to sell the next suit, and you do that by cultivating a relationship and creating trust and integrity and honesty. And we generally get great return custom, because at the end of the day, let's think of getting a man. It's so small. You've only got a certain finite number of people on it.
Absolutely. You're out of town anyway. Who wants to go into Douglas when you don't have to?
That's the truth.
I know. Yeah, I never want to.
That's such a Manx mentality.
It is.
Thank you. But that's I'm an ethnic minority. What can I say? The fact that you have the dry cleaning service, and you've done some repair work for us. For me, you've put a few zips in here and there. I mean, who wants to? Who could fit it? Not many people I know can fit a zipper, but it's great little bits, little service things like that. It does. You're right. It does add up to.
Here's the thing too.
Want to come into the shop.
Here's the thing too, Sharon. One thing that I've noticed again. This is me patting Mark on the back again. The Isle of Man people are quite different to particularly guys in Northern Ireland, and particularly the mainland UK, Scottish, English, Welsh. You guys have your own particular style of, let me see, what am I trying to say? Your own...
How you deal with people.
Yeah, well, you've just got your own... Manx, I find Manx people are just different, but in a good way, by the way. This is not a slight. This is not a criticism, in a good way. Yeah. And Mark has a great way of dealing with them, and certainly the way we to call a spade, back home here in Northern Ireland, Sharon, everybody wants a deal. The entire consumer model is you go into a shop and ask for discount. You know, that is just what happens in my shop. Yeah. You're standing at the desk and it's here, mate. Much you going to do that for? And I'm sitting there going, oh my goodness me, I have to give away my profit, right? And then you end up coming to a deal. Whereas on the Isle of Man, I think I don't know if it's embarrassing or what it is, but none of you guys want to ask for discount. In fact, in many cases, you can't ask us, can I spend more money? Can I buy something else? And Mark stands there with open arms and goes, yes, I'll take more money off you, not a problem. And I just find the Manx people are very straight, and I think that's a wonderful accolade, Sharon. You're very honest. You're very, again, I used the word before, very integral. They're a good race of people on the island.
But in all honesty, the island is. Since the finance sector sort of was born in the mid 80s, early mid 80s, it's really, we've got lots of people from all over the British Isles here, mm-hmm. and much further afield than that. There's a big South African community, and there's lots of people from the north of England had moved over, and there's lots of Northern Irish folk here too. So you can't have it easy all the time. Yeah, no, it's interesting to hear, but I mean, and it's not been all sweetness and light too for you guys, as you mentioned. I mean, I think when we spoke the other day, Mark, you'd said that you'd had quite a few cancellations.
15 weddings cancelled.
Yeah, that's
we've had obviously
isn't it? Not a lot of but the people whose weddings it is. Yeah.
Between weddings. Like we used to do a lot of stuff for the horse racing, Royal Ascot, etc. All that's obviously been cancelled. Yeah, pretty much all your major events. May, June, July probably would have been our 3 busiest months between weddings, events, stuff like that. And obviously, we were closed all of May. We were closed most of June, and going into July, all the events are still cancelled. And obviously, it's advantageous that our borders are locked down at the moment. But for people that were planning weddings, a lot of them are saying, well, we can't even say we're going to postpone it until September because half of our guests were supposed to be coming from the UK. So at the moment, if they come over, they'd have to quarantine for 14 days before they could actually go to the wedding. Yeah,
it's difficult, isn't it? It's impossible, in fact. Yeah, you can't see an early solution.
I wouldn't want to be making the decisions.
No. But you're just the recipient of those decisions, aren't you? Or those lack of decisions, rather. Yeah. Okay, well, both of you've obviously both grown up in Northern Ireland, I would say. Have you?
Yeah.
You both grown up in Northern Ireland? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what sort of backgrounds have you got? Where did you go to school, and what sort of things did you study at uni, if you went to uni, that sort of thing?
I spent literally all my life in Cookstown, which is pretty much in the centre of Northern Ireland. Went to primary school, secondary school there. Went to university in Coleraine on the north coast to study biology, thinking that I wanted to be a teacher. Spent a year teaching and hated every single second of it.
Oh no! What age children were you teaching?
Secondary school, so right through up until 18-year-olds.
Oh, okay.
And I literally just hated every single second of it. So decided, no, not for me.
What was so particularly awful about it?
Just there's so many sticky rules and regulations, and you have to be so careful now. You can't even say a wrong word or someone's looking to sue you. And we get told all these stories through university about different things, about how teachers would have set books down on tables and one of the books hit the child's hand and the child tried to take the teacher up for assault. And even just how children would have spoke to teachers has changed even from massively when I was at school. You used to be petrified of teachers.
Yeah.
And I remember in primary school, like, chairs being thrown across the room and stuff like that by the teacher. Whereas now...
Sheltered over here. Another great thing about the Isle of Man. I think you'll find that most schools are not like that, I don't think.
Yeah. Whereas it's obviously all changed now.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I just didn't like it. I find it, to be honest, it was quite monotonous. I thought, it's going to be really interesting, but it was quite a big, well, say big school, but it wouldn't be big compared to some of the Belfast schools, but there would have been about 1,400 pupils at it, the whole school.
It's big. That's big.
It's big enough, yeah.
You maybe would have taught 3 different classes the exact same thing on the same day.
Right. Okay.
So it was quite monotonous, repetitive, and I just didn't like it. So I thought,
wasn't for you.
You know what?
It wasn't for you. Yeah.
It's not for me. No point trying to stick it out.
So what brought you to the Isle of Man?
Rachel, my wife, well, now wife, she wasn't my wife at the time. She got offered a job as a podiatrist over here that was too good to refuse.
Yeah.
So she moved over a year before me, and I literally spent every other weekend I would have flown over to the Isle of Man and spent it here, because Rachel had never even stepped foot on the island until she came for the interview, whereas I'd been coming for 5 or 6 years for the TT, but I'd only ever experienced the TT.
Right, okay.
So we decided Rachel would take the job, even if it was just for a year, to see how it went. So I flew over every other weekend, or she would have flown back home for the weekend. And
braved it on Manx too, did you?
It was City Wing at that time.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Then it got to the point we were like, right, we both like the island. Do we want to stay here? And I'll move over and look about a job or not. So then we decided it would stay here and I'd move over. So Rachel's been here 7 years now in September.
Right.
And I moved over a year after her.
Right, okay. Very good. What about you, Chris? What's your background?
Yeah, again, grew up sort of just out on the outskirts of Belfast here in a beautiful wee village called Tynwald. Then attended grammar school, went on to Queen's University, Belfast, studied electrical and electronic engineering. While I was there, started my first business, which was a car audio company called SQ Design. And I used to fit car stereos and fancy show-winning car stereo installs. That then morphed into a car repair and custom shop, and we ran that for 9 years. And my health, I have a particular lung condition, and as you can imagine, with the car repair industry, and certainly what we were doing, lots of body work and bits and pieces, the atmosphere in the workshop was killing me. And my then doctor more or less just said, Chris, if you're not out of that within a year, you're not going to be here in 2. So, so that was fine. That made my decision very, very quickly. And I sold out to my then business partner, who then took it on as a going concern. And I joined the family business, which was then Suitor Menswear, which is my dad, my brother. And then I came in as a junior partner.
Fantastic.
And then that then morphed itself into Suitor Brothers, because dad stepped out about sort of 4 years ago. So it was just myself and my brother. We then we had 2 shops then. We sold our 2 shops and bought another single shop that was bigger than both the other ones put together, and launched Suitor Brothers in 2017, and literally just grew. Like, our business was already there. The Suitor business, the menswear business, Sharon, was there from 1992. Mm-hmm. So we're 28 years in the game.
Wow.
Dad was in the industry since 68, so he's done over 50.
Yeah.
So we have a good heritage there, really good. Our reputation and our name, I'm not speaking out of turn by saying it, but I would say is second to none. We probably have the best reputation in the business over here. So, that coupled with my social media press and my marketing ability took our business from strength to strength. And in fact, from me joining the business in 2011 to 2019, I had doubled turnover. We had doubled turnover.
That's good, yeah.
Of a 25-year-old business in less than sort of 8 years. So things were going exceptionally well, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So whenever Mark approached me, I was like, yeah, okay, well, I've done this with that business, right? Okay, I'm sure we can do this in Element too. And I say everything was going particularly okay, and then all of a sudden this COVID-19 things happened and hit the reset button. So do you know? I'll be honest with you too, Sharon. It's almost given me an injection of excitement again, because I'll be honest, the Suitor shop, particularly back here in Belfast, things were going so well. It had almost bored me, and that's awful to say, but it had. We just literally got up in the morning, opened the doors. We knew by the end of the week on a Saturday night at 5:30, we will have lifted plenty of money to pay all the bills, put money in our pocket, blah, blah, blah. Things were going so well. It was easy. And I'm telling you straight, it was easy, right? Because again, we run our business really, really sharp. We keep really nice stuff. We sell it for the right price. Our service is second to none. I find with those core values in business, honestly, our game was really, really easy. However, now all of a sudden, this COVID thing has literally came and punched us in the back of the head. I'm excited to try and build the business again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It does. It's a life-defining opportunity.
It is. It's really? Like we've just hit that reset button back to zero. And it's now thinking of all the different marketing ideas and how we can overcome all the different issues that are coming at us. And again, same on the Isle of Man. Mark's actually got probably a tougher job because, again, you guys have locked down and ring-fenced the island. Mark's customer base has now got like less than half quartered, because obviously you don't have all the people coming on off island, and we would have got a great trade in Isle of Man off people coming on off island.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Mark now doesn't have that, so he's trying to think outside the box and make it work with such a small finite number of people. So we're looking at Mark and I'm sure Mark's going to tell you this, but we're looking to maybe going online and doing some bits and pieces online and trying to expand the Noble Suitor out that way, because on the island. Sorry, do you want to ask something there, Sharon? I talk a lot.
I googled the business, and there's no website. There's just a Facebook page, and that again, there's lots of opportunity to build up from that, isn't it?
Well, there is, and see, I don't know if you know the way our industry works. If you are in Northern Ireland and say you're Belfast and you have a certain brand, like let's just say, use a big brand that everyone will know, Levi's, right? So say you are a Levi's stockist in Belfast. Generally, there shouldn't be any other Levi's stockists for a certain proximity around you, because it's unfair. You can't have two shops side by side selling the same product, because one's going to cut price, then the other's going to cut price, then the other's going to cut price. It's going to be a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Jinx. It's going to be a race to the bottom, and then nobody's going to make any money. So part of what we have on the Isle of Man, which is beautiful, we're practically the only menswear store on the Isle of Man, we have access to practically every brand under the sun. So we have we've actually just taken on a really beautiful brand over there called Circle of Gentlemen that do the most amazing shirts. And again, in Belfast back here, Sharon, I can't sell them because there's a shop not too far from me that sells those. And then there's a shop in Lisburn that sells them too. But on the Isle of Man, we can sell them. So again, we're going to set Mark up with a nice online business, and then hopefully I can cross promote that over here and send him business from here. So that's kind of what we're looking at.
Yeah, plan. Yeah, that sounds really good. We would normally move on to have a framework on that I follow on the podcast, but it kind of makes sense to ask at the moment. I guess what's the key things that you've learned coming out of this about the business? Are those the sort of key?
You're never in a safe position. No matter how much money you have in the bank and how good you think things are going, all it takes is one thing to totally turn that on its end. That's what I've learned.
Yep. And I'd agree with that, Mark, because again, Sharon, our business back home here in Belfast, we were very solvent. I say we run it really tight. We don't take an enormous amount of money out of the business. We don't live ridiculously lavish lifestyles. And we thought this is an absolute, I'm telling you, we thought it was a gift. You just got up in the morning on a Monday, you went home on a Saturday night. It was easy. And it really was. Now, we worked hard at it, but in our opinion, it was still easy. And absolutely no one could have predicted what has happened. And it just goes to show you, as Mark said, no matter how good you think you are, no matter how much money's in the bank, it can go wrong. So it's going to actually make us even that wee bit more frugal and more sharper in our business. Just, if you think you need X to keep your business going for Y amount of months, well, we're going to have Z now. We're going to keep a lot more money in the bank just in case something.
That's a good learning point. in my role as a financial planner, I mean, that part of what we do is just to make sure people do have enough money no matter what happens. And normally we say that, we do forward cash flow planning, the complete opposite to what your accountant does. That's sort of telling you what has happened. Financial planning tells you what could happen. It shows you where you're currently heading financially and what if all the income did turn off. You can just do that, just do catastrophe planning like that. So that would have probably shown you the sort of figures that you would need. But, in my role, when I'm usually talking to people, and I normally ask this, so forgive me, I'll ask the question, but what was your earliest memory of money, Mark? How was money growing up for you?
Whenever I was really young, my biological dad would have had his own business, and he was in insurance and financial planning and stuff as well.
Okay.
And was successful. And up until he left my mum when I was 11. So up until 11, it was although when you're sort of up until 11, you don't really have much concept of money anyway, but
no.
It wasn't as if I needed it for anything. I had everything I needed and it was provided for. Then my mum and my dad got divorced, and that's then when my mum pretty much got left with nothing, and we were put in a position where she had to start on her own from scratch. So going from there, my mum literally worked 6 days a week to try and get enough money in to provide for us and give us what we wanted. And to be fair to her, growing up, I never wanted for anything. If it needed something, she literally worked and did what she had to do to make sure we got what we needed. And that sort of taught me that you have to work hard. Money doesn't come easy, because
put a value on it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I seen her. I'm going to have to work an extra few hours this week to make sure we have money to pay for that and stuff like that. So it wasn't, from the age of 11 on, money never came easy to my family. So It was always, you work hard, you put the effort in and you get it. Whereas up until the age of 11, when my biological dad was still there, he earned all the money. My mum didn't work. No. She was a stay-at-home mum. Literally anything we needed was provided. And then it kind of probably shouldn't compare it as much, but if you look at it as the whole coronavirus thing, where literally everything was going well and all of a sudden everything stopped. It was the same sort of thing as that.
Yeah, it's interesting. No, thanks for sharing that. That's a really powerful story. What about you, Chris?
Right. So, again, come from a strictly entrepreneurial family background. We had just discussed earlier that my grandmother was Rachel Taylor. She married Samuel Suitor. They lived on a ridiculously small farm in County Monaghan, which is just on the northern southern Ireland border. Typical tales of woe story, one shoe between 10 of them and all that kind of stuff. Literally grew up with absolutely nothing. So my father grew up with literally nothing. And whenever they came up north, the troubles were just kind of starting then. And obviously Protestant family, Catholic area, and that sort of thing. Our family were kind of forced northward, and they ended up settling in Dundonald here in Belfast. Mm-hmm. From a very, very early age, all the brothers and sisters, my dad came from a family of 9. Practically every one of them have started their own business and actually been very successful. But then again, their value of money would be even completely different than mine, because again, but like Mark was saying there, they were used to having nothing. So they were able to put a value on a pound very, very quickly, because it meant one single pound meant so much to them. So growing up, Dad obviously tried to instill this kind of entrepreneurial attitude and this work ethic into me and my big brother. And I think he did it quite successfully, because ever since I was a kid, I was always buying and selling stuff and trying to make Dad proud by having a business of some description. But, honestly, my earliest memory of money and not being able to kind of, get what you want sort of thing. I remember when I think I was in P6, and a couple of the guys in my class got Nike Air Max trainers, and I went back to Mum and I said, Mum, such and such as these new Nike Air Max trainers. I want them. I really want them. And we couldn't afford them. Simple as that. We weren't flush with money back then. So Dad was still just working for a company, and Mum had her own wee shop. But again, things were very, very tight. So that was whenever I started to think, you need to save for stuff. After that, I think that was a turning point. I always remember the story of the Nike Air Max. I don't know why, but anyway, it was the Nike Air Max that kind of turned my thing right. So if I want to get Nike Air Max, I have to save them. And I think I waited a good 6 or 9 months or whatever, and Mum had obviously been putting money aside and saving it. And then I got my Nike Air Max about 9 months later, and I was really appreciative of them. I understood, because whenever you're a kid, generally just get stuff, and you never wonder where it comes from and what it takes to get there. But I do always remember that wee story sticks in my mind about the Nike Air Max, that I didn't just get them when I wanted them. I had to wait.
Isn't it funny? Yeah. So we take those values with us through life, I think. Sometimes.
We do, but I'll be honest with you now, money actually means less to me now, Sharon. I think the COVID-19 thing has really even hammered that into my head even more. Money is just a conduit to get by in life, in my opinion, just to put food on your table, etc., etc. But health,
couldn't agree more.
Health,
agree more.
I know it's this big.
Yeah.
It's easy to say this is your health is your wealth, but see with what's happening, it really is isn't it?
Absolutely, especially with what your lung.
Yeah,
you said earlier. Yes, I guess it's and for me, Mark, as well with Rachel, it's been.
Yeah, well, it's even Rachel, and then I call him my dad, but he's technically my stepdad now. Yeah. He has cystic fibrosis, and he was literally told that if he leaves the house and he catches COVID-19, it will kill him. So they have literally, back home, my parents as well, they went into total lockdown, no one in and out of the house.
Gosh.
And it just makes you realise that just how iffy things can be sometimes, and how close you can be to something that will change your life forever.
Yeah, they're interlinked, aren't they? Health and wealth.
Yeah.
It really is,
They really are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks very much, guys. That's a really powerful stories for both of you.
Pleasure.
So of all the things you've done through your life so far then, what things have given you the most personal fulfillment? Maybe from a personal perspective, but also from a professional fulfillment.
For me, it has to be opening the Noble Suitor, because it's the first thing I have took the leap and actually done fully on my own. Beforehand, I was always employed by someone and just worked and did what I was told.
Yeah.
Whereas this was like the biggest leap. I was giving up financial stability and risking pretty much everything, where I wasn't guaranteed that I was going to get paid to come in. We didn't know what way it was going to go. And it wasn't a case of, well, we'll just ease into it. I'll keep a job and it was go big or go home. It was literally go straight in and put all your eggs in one basket, as I say. From what we've achieved out of it, obviously up until COVID-19, and even now that we're still here after, I would say that has to be mine.
Yeah, you were telling me that how you'd managed to come through it pretty well, really, with very careful financial management.
We're still here. Any business that has come out the other side has to see it as a success.
Yeah, I agree.
Truth, absolutely.
Yeah. Great.
And then for me, do you want personal or business first, Sharon?
Oh, whatever you like, Chris.
Right, personal. Oh God, she's not listening. I end up crying here. It has to be obviously family. I have a wife and two kids there. You see, so I have two wee daughters at 8 and 6. Oh. And honestly, just marrying Nicola, because literally with what I do, Sharon, and the more you and I'll get to know each other, and Mark will fill in, I do so much. I do so much stuff. I literally do. I'm 25 hours a day, 8 days a week kind of guy, and I can't do it without Nicola.
Yeah,
she picks up all the. Can you swear in this podcast? No, is it all the stuff? Not. Right, all the. She picks up all the stuff.
Yeah,
and she's the one that enables me to do what I do. And I'm not gonna lie to you here. Obviously, you're coming from a financial planning background. I do so much stuff voluntarily, Sharon, and that's a massive part of me and what I do. So as much as I'm a business person, entrepreneur, etc., I almost get more joy in helping other businesses and helping people and helping other organizations without charging them and giving them my time and my experience and my thought, for free. So and the biggest reason how I can do it is through Nicola, and obviously I've got the two wee kids there. But business wise, number one, taking over the mantle of my father's business and seeing my name above the door is just amazing. But within that business, it would be taking on the bespoke tailoring aspect of things. Yeah, because before we were just a men's workshop, we bought suits and sold them, and shirts and ties and stuff. And I started the bespoke end in 2013. And that's what's created the business opportunities for us and solidified our name in the marketplace, because it actually brought so much attention and business to our shop, including numerous different celebrities and sports stars and movie stars and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's what's really put us on the map. And it's in fact then how I met Mark, and that's then what's led us into the Noble Suitor. So family wise would be the personal one. Business wise would be number one, taking over the family business, but number two, actually getting into bespoke tailoring, because it's a risky game, Sharon.
Yeah.
One measurement wrong and the whole thing's wrong, so you have to really be on your game. And it's one thing again. Yeah. I'm patting Mark on the back again.
It's a highly skilled job, isn't it? It really is.
It is.
For any existing or aspiring business owner or entrepreneur, what would be your number one business tip?
Ooh, tough one.
My number one business, I'll go first, Marky. My number one business tip, Sharon, is watch your overheads. And again, this is literally the key to business, in my opinion. If you are running a business and you can't afford the overhead that the business creates, then you don't have a business. So my number one tip that I give, I do a lot of mentorship with businesses, and it's literally keep your overheads to a minimum. Even for the first year, for the first 2 years, for the first 5 years, it's actually a really good ethos going right the way through your business. If you keep control of your overheads, you've got control of your business.
Yeah. It's so easy to spend money, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. It really is.
Yeah.
It really
I
is.
was going to say cash flow. It's that whole thing of cash is king.
Yeah.
Cash flow is the most important thing that will make or break a business, because it's all right getting cash in, but the cash has to go back out to pay for stuff. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the cash there to pay for the stuff, that's what will break you. So it is literally be as tight as possible when it comes to spending money. Wow, spend what you have to and don't spend what you don't have to. Make the sacrifice for the first 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Mm-hmm. And in the long run, it'll pay off.
Correct.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Oh, thanks. Good. And what do you do to relax, keep your lives in balance? What do you do? Who's going to go first on that one?
Work.
Mark, you're just work, and work.
That's part of the joys of owning your own business. You never stop.
That's the truth.
Or never stop thinking about it, right? Yeah.
Sharon, and it's actually another job that I do. I'm a DJ as well. So what I do, I to relax is I DJ, and I also get paid for it sometimes too. So it's it's a win-win. It's a win-win situation. Music is my medicine, Sharon.
You don't use Jimmy Osmond and stuff like that, do you?
No, I'm into trance and sort of EDM, electronic dance music type stuff. So music is my medicine. So that's what I do. Relax.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. And you were telling me earlier that you've taken up the learning of an instrument, Mark.
Oh yeah. Bought myself a chanter during lockdown to try and teach myself the bagpipes.
Unbelievable.
Well, there is a local band, you can go along and get lessons if
I was stuck at home with nothing to do. Because Rachel was high risk, so she obviously got put off for 12 weeks shielding. And it was literally, we'd done all the painting of the fence and done the garden, done all that sort of stuff. And it was like, what could I do? And then it's like, I've always wanted to learn the bagpipes. And I went typical, go on to eBay and buy a cheap chanter and got it sent over, and been trying to teach myself.
Fantastic. Well, if you go into Facebook and you search Ellen Bannon Pipes and Drums, that's the local band, and they do lessons. Beginners. They do have an
perfect.
Brilliant, Mark, get in there.
Yeah, they have an influx every year, so you can usually go along and try it and see if you're on the right track.
I'll definitely give that a go.
Mark, do you not think, Sharon, Mark looks like a piper? See, with the beard and all, I can just imagine him with a big set of back.
Yeah.
This is a 15-week COVID-19 look. I'm getting my hair and beard done next Wednesday. That'll be 16 weeks since I had it done previously.
Well, I don't know about that, because I'm looking at a picture of you in the Isle of Man newspaper's website when you.
I've had a beard for.
Yeah, that was much longer then.
Yeah,
so it's easy.
It was way longer, but then I've been trying to keep. I got it cut short, and from whenever I got married last year, and I've been trying to keep it short, but. Obviously,
I must say I'm not an expert on beards. From beards I've seen, it looks like the glossiest beard I've ever seen.
Honestly,
yeah,
I don't do anything. You get all these people that put beard oils and all that kind of stuff. This is how my beard looks when I get up in the morning. I do nothing to it whatsoever.
It'll be the bird that lives in there somewhere that keeps it.
I know.
It's his breakfast. He just rubs his breakfast into it.
Just keep bits of food hidden in it.
Yeah, it's the eggs and bacon.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so what would you say are the main challenges that the Isle of Man faces?
At the minute, I think our biggest challenge is how to control the borders going forward, because it is border control that will either help prevent or cause a second wave to the island, because we went, I think, as you said, is it 42 days now with no new cases?
I think it's 42 or 43, yes.
Yeah, and as long as nobody new is coming onto the island, the coronavirus has no way of getting onto the island. But as soon as we open the borders...
But we sort of are, but key workers are when they do as they're told. But there are people coming over, and you are able to, if you've got somewhere to go and self-quarantine as if you're a resident. But anecdotally, there's property transactions going through all the time. So people are coming over, and it's relatively straightforward with I suppose a limited timetable on air and sea that you can control these people. And
I think if they keep the 14-day quarantine in place for a while, that'll obviously help, but they can't keep that forever either. They're going to have to go back
not to want any tourists. That's true.
Yeah,
unless we all go to a new concept of a once a year 4-week holiday, which you spend half of it in quarantine.
I think again, Sharon, I think you've got the two different economies over there. You've got the virtual economy, you've got the physical economy. We in the Noble Suitor, we're part of the physical economy. We need people coming into our shop to buy our product. Whereas I think the virtual economy, all the gaming and all the tech stuff, and the element has probably continued just as it was. Maybe has maybe even flourished. But the physical economy needs enormous help, and if those borders are shut or the quarantine is in place and we can't get people on and off island freely and unrestricted, I see the physical economy on the island will naturally nosedive, and that for us, particularly in the Noble Suitor, there is not good whatsoever.
So what solutions and opportunities can you see? Well,
again, that's where we're maybe going to look to go and doing some bits and pieces online.
Yeah.
But again, that market, it's not exactly what our business is aimed at over there, Sharon. We have aimed ourselves at that personal tailoring element. So where Mark meets the gentleman or the lady in question, measures them up, and actually makes them something really unique and something properly fitted. That was our USP. We don't necessarily.
It's not even that, because even with all our ready-to-wear stuff, we tailor all that as well. So even if it's shortening a trouser or shortening a jacket sleeve, so you can't really do that online. No, you can't.
No, you cannot.
You can't get someone to order a jacket and go, I want you to take 3 centimeters off that, without them having tried it on and measured it and pinned it.
You see, so Sharon, so we really need them in the shop. So if you're asking how do we remedy it, if it is going to nosedive like that and people aren't going to be really allowed on island, it is the online thing we have to look at, but it's going to completely restructure what we sell and what we do. It's going to be just more shirts, ties, standard blazers, jeans, chinos, that sort of stuff. But it's where our margin lies and where our USP lies is in the personal tailoring, and that's where we get people into the shop, and Mark does his thing and makes them look beautiful. So it's difficult.
Yeah, but I like your idea of some of that online stuff, because that should help a little bit of turnover. But even if it's ends up coming in for, well, now I've got this. Can you make it fit? Because I measured myself wrong. Yeah, sure. Well, moving on then. So there's normally a few questions I just ask as we come to the end of the podcast. Is just some similar questions I ask everybody. So, are there any books that you've read recently that good sources of inspiration that you'd like to recommend?
This is going to sound really bad, but I hate reading.
you hate reading too. Okay, so what's your go-to for sources of inspiration and knowledge? Is it YouTube videos or?
Yeah.
So who do you watch?
YouTube will change your life.
Yeah, well, to show you how to do anything for sure. But,
literally, yeah. Anything you need to know, either YouTube or Google, you'll find instructions, videos, whatever. But I'm not. I struggle to sit down and do nothing. So, like, without having to do something, I get very impatient. So I can't sit down for 2 hours and just read a book. I would read the first couple of pages and it'd be like, right, I need to get up and do something.
So are you more visual or audible? Do you listen to Audible podcasts?
More visual, probably.
Yeah. So who's your go-to?
You see, if you want inspiration, and I don't want to make his head big here, Chris is all into positivity, and every day on social media, he's putting up all his positive quotes, his videos, and
cool.
You'll get to the question of like, what's your favorite quote? And Chris will come up with 20 of his own quotes. But he has his most common one every day is get up, get out, get at it. And you can guarantee it. Every morning he's on Instagram going, get up, get out, get at it. And
well, quotes only work when you work, right?
Correct. It's something like it is. And thanks, Mark. But it is something I enjoy. Like, again, I'm exactly the same as Mark. I hate reading. Books literally do my head in, Sharon. But I have read recently. I do read like one book a month, that sort of thing, when it really kind of pushes up to it. The last book I read was Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And it was only because so many people that I respect had read it and used it as their Bible almost. And I got myself a copy of that and I've read through that. But again, I'm a bit like Mark. I prefer to watch stuff rather than actually read stuff. And I'm massively into my philosophy. And I find that visual somebody speaking to me sinks in more than me reading words on a page. Does that make sense? So again,
absolutely, it does. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I've read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, but it doesn't take you, if you haven't got the message in the first couple of chapters, I think you can.
That's it. Yeah, and
I think you need to start again.
It does just get quite repetitive. And again, he does, if you notice, he does say that if you don't get the message soon, keep reading and you will eventually get the message. So I do get it how certain people's mindsets will get it.
I've read Matthew Syed. I think he was a table tennis player, a really good one. He's written a book called Black Box Thinking, which is it's a fabulous. I've just finished it, and in a book club of two, myself and a really good friend who's a chartered financial planner in the UK.
Yes,
and so it's about marginal gains and the secrets of high performance, and basically how you can apply marginal gains in your own business.
Yes,
which is it's a fascinating concept, but it's worth a read, and it's very.
What's it called?
Black
have you got it there?
Box Thinking.
Have you got it?
I have. Yep.
Let me take a picture of it. If you put it up your camera, I can take a picture of it. Black Box Thinking. Click. Yep, got it. Yeah, so I'm looking for my next month's book. I'll have a go at that, Sharon. Because again, I like hearing from people that have experienced something rather than just read a review online. I like speaking to people that have actually read through it and said, you know what, this is pretty good.
Well, fantastic. So the next question is, what is your favourite quote?
This will be difficult for Chris. How long have you got?
Jeepers creepers. Are you serious, Sharon? You want me to
give me a quote.
As Mark says, I put up an inspirational quote every single day in life. So around 9 o'clock on my Instagram, you will see something pop up. And let me see what was it. I haven't done one this morning actually because I've been on this podcast. But yesterday's one was spend more time on what gives you energy and less of what takes it away. And again, I think that's very, very poignant. Too many of us procrastinate and actually spend too much of our life and our time giving time to something that it doesn't do anything for you. Never mind, it saps your energy. Whereas for me, emails, yes, I hate reading needless emails. So as you can see, 21,000 of them are just forget about. And let me see. I've got yes, right. Okay, so if I had to put my finger on one quotation, apart from my own, which is get up, get out, get at it, it will have to be from Gandhi, and it's be the change you wish to see in the world. That is something. In fact, I would nearly get that tattooed my back. Because again, for me, I think it is so powerful that if you want to be something different, if you want the world to be something different, you have to be the change first before anything else will happen. So be the change that you wish to see in the world is my favourite quote.
Where can people go to learn more about you? You've mentioned you're on Instagram. Perhaps you could send through details of Mark's Facebook page. But more details about your social media links. We'll put those in the show notes.
On Instagram, you will find me personally at Chris Suitor GGG. You'll also find my business, which is at Suitor Brothers, and then the Noble Suitor is at the Noble Suitor.
Okay.
If you go to Facebook, again, just type in Chris Suitor or Suitor Brothers. You'll find it there. Twitter is also at Suitor Brothers.
Okay.
LinkedIn is just Chris Suitor, I think. Yes, you should find that.
And Mark's gonna be
the Noble Suitors is just all at the Noble Suitor because
it's all the same.
Nobody else has the Noble Suitor.
They don't. That's a great name.
So if anybody's listening, Sharon, make sure you get in touch, get involved, and hook up with us. And
funny, I did have someone. I had someone called in on Saturday and said, just out of interest, is this shop anything to do with Chris Suitor? I follow him on Twitter.
It's great. Honestly, social media has literally just been. Honestly, Sharon, I would equate, particularly the growth back home here in the Suitor Brothers shop. I would equate practically all of it, maybe not all of its growth, but the vast majority of the growth of our business to social media. To have this free platform where you can put your business out there and tell the world who you are, what you do, for free. And that is what's so unbelievable about this world.
Yeah,
it's free.
We do a fair bit about that too. Yeah, it's central to your business plan, is your marketing plan. If you haven't got one,
totally. I'm sure if you've probably worked with business over the years. Like we used to spend in Suitor Brothers, we used to spend maybe
small business owners is who I work with.
Yes, still, we would have spent 25, 30 grand a year marketing before social media. And honestly, like we'd probably get better value, not better return on our marketing now for free. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're saving that overhead, you're saving that cost, and you're actually getting more out of it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. No.
Here, do you want another quote?
Do you use like Hootsuite then to put quotes and things out there, or do you do it all manually yourself?
Mine's all manually, and it's something that I do have Hootsuite, and I have another have another software that combines them, flipping call. But it's, you know what, Sharon, I use actually all my media profiles slightly differently. So you get a different Chris Suitor on each and every one of them.
Right.
And Twitter is kind of more strictly business orientated. And I do a lot of diplomatic and contributor type stuff to media. So I use it for that. The Chris Suitor GGG on Instagram is more me personally. Yeah. And then Facebook is more very much business. So I kind of mix it. I kind of mix it all up. But
hashtag influencer.
Hashtag. No, I do this influencing, so people send me stuff.
Hashtag don't send me an email.
Oh, yes, just send me a product and I'll promote it, but don't send me an email. Yeah. So no, it's cool. Yeah, it's really, really good. But here, we're just talking about quotes right here. Absolute cracker. See, bringing it back to COVID-19 and what's happened. Theodore Roosevelt said, "A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor." And I think that is unbelievable, isn't it?
That's a great saying.
Like, imagine if you were just sailing along on a flat calm your whole life, and then this big wave comes at you. You wouldn't know what to do. No, if you're a deep sea sailor and you're hitting waves left, right, and centre, it's just another wave that's come along.
It's a great quote for the Isle of Man government to take to heart, isn't it?
It is.
You know, this is exactly what they were put in place to do. Great. Well, look, thanks both for your time. I think that's been a really, really great podcast. Very inspiring, very influential, and cool. You know, good luck with what you're doing in the future.
Absolutely. No, Sharon, thank you for having us on. As you can imagine, from our end, any sort of promotion, because let's be honest, this podcast you send out will probably hit a great audience, and very much so probably our audience.
We've had over 1,000 downloads. So you know, our clients exactly the sort of clients that you want.
That's our guy.
Yeah, and what you
said
is...
So they all can come in and see us and get sued?
Yeah, well, if they've got anything to go to, but yes, theoretically.
Well, yeah, true.
They would. That's what we need as life to sort of resume to a new normal, whatever that is. But yeah, I completely get what you said before, Chris, about giving time to other businesses to help them more. This is exactly what this is about. And the government has its job, but our job as the innovators, you know, it's private sector that's always going to innovate and lead the way. It's not them. They're there to provide their social structure and the education and the healthcare, and you know, that's their job. Ours is to have an economy to pay for it all and to innovate our way and you know, promote and improve the human race to do all that. Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
See you soon, Mark. Nice to meet you, Chris.
Bye.
Yeah, see you, Marco. Bye. See you, Sharon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Island Influencers from Thornton Chartered Financial Planners. To find out more and for useful links, visit thorntonfs.com/podcasts.